Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Great Reviews. My name is Chris, and today I've checked out this new found footage horror movie, Godforsaken. This is directed by Akbar and Akbar Kamal, and it, like I said, is a found footage horror movie about this documentary crew, this trio, who go back to this guy's hometown because a woman who had died awakens at her funeral, but is not as what she seems, because perhaps possessed or something, or maybe she's God-forsaken. I'm a pretty big found footage horror fan. I mean, they can go a couple different ways. I've talked about this before in other videos, but you have your the more like realistic approach, your Paranormal Activity 1 or your Blair Witch, where it feels a little bit more authentic, where it's like, oh yeah, I could see some of this footage being like, legit. And then you have your Frankenstein's Army and that kind of stuff, where it's just like a roller coaster ride and it's super fun and ridiculous. This movie has moments of both and a lot of amateur moments as well, but for the most part, it's pretty entertaining, especially by the end where things get out of control in silly ways, but it's pretty fun by then. There's a nugget of interesting storytelling here as well with this demon. You have this woman who is resurrected. The very opening sequence is pretty interesting with a lot of extras running out of a church and shit. Like, it's pretty cool, but then the cracks are seen in some of the production quality and stuff in this, where they're trying to sell this woman being like very unsettling because she rises from the dead, but then the acting and the look of some things, they're like, oh, it's a little bit cringy, isn't it? And that's the problem. A lot of times stuff just doesn't really work in this movie, but when it does work, it's pretty cool. So it's like half and half. You have some pretty rough acting too. It feels forced a lot of times, which is kind of the worst thing you want in a found footage movie, because you want it to sound legitimate, you want it to sound real. And a lot of found footage movies give you a lot of mundane, shitty filmmaking, where it's like, oh, well, we're just, I'm taking a shit right now, and I thought I'd record this. And it's like, why are you recording this? I don't care about any of these mundane moments, because generally in movies, you want to come in late to a scene and leave early. You want the audience to always be interested. And a lot of times in found footage movies, they're showing you the most mundane, boring bullshit, and you're like, why does anyone want to see this? And so you have moments like that in this movie. But then you have interesting storytelling moments, where this girl is perhaps a demon, but she also is like healing people and granting powers and stuff, making people what, not what you would think a demon would do, right? Or are you wrong? Did you ever think about that, huh? But then, by the end, the movie's like, who gives a fuck about any of that shit, any of this interesting stuff? Let's just have you guys run around like assholes in the dark and we'll have a bunch of jump scares. It kind of works, though. It's kind of fun. It's a decently choreographed ending sequence of just terror and screams, but every 4 seconds there's things popping out everywhere, and it kind of devolves storytelling-wise and everything-wise into just, chaos. I think you could do worse, but I also think, like, a lot of the audience might check out because the opening sequence is interesting, but the middle section gets a little bit dull, and there's some creepy moments, but it's intermixed with, like I'm saying, boring stuff and bad acting. So, I don't know, it's passable. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. It's definitely not the worst found footage movie I've seen. It's not the best. It's forgettable. But if you need something on in the background, it's workable. It works. So that's it for Godforsaken. If you've seen it, let me know what you think. If you got any recommendations of like more obscure found footage movies that maybe people haven't seen enough of, leave that down below because I'd like to check out a few more. And that's it, guys. I will catch you here next time. Goodbye.